Finally hit my goal, over 10K and 10 clients in just 70 days. This is Nechristian, and he's been working for the past few months to build an AI lead generation agency. And what he's done in that time is one of the cleanest 0 to 10K a month runs I've seen in 8 years of mentoring agencies. And today, you're going to learn exactly what he did differently, so you can do the same. So what even is AI lead generation? Well, put simply, it is an agency, a service-based business where you approach business owners and you offer them a service that brings them in more leads, more customers, and ultimately more money. You make them money, they pay you money. Now, AI is the tool you use to deliver it, hence AI lead generation. We plug in systems on the back end to automate the process of generating more leads and more revenue for the businesses that we work with. Now, I recently hosted an interview with Nechristian where I broke down why it was possible for him to scale to 10K a month in just 70 days. That isn't typical, but I extracted 7 lessons that I'm gonna give to you today, and you can implement these lessons from today to be in for a fighting chance to compete with what Nechristian has achieved over the past few months. Now, the first lesson is going all in on one thing. The basis of this comes from a quote from that interview where he said, "I dropped all of the side hustles, everything else, just to focus on this." Now, I am going to give you access to that full interview at the end of this video if you want to go ahead and watch that. I'm also going to add some screenshots, various bits of proof throughout this, so you can just see it from the horse's mouth itself. And Nechristian posted a Ring the Bell, which is in our community where people post when they sign up new clients. He said, "I joined on December the 1st. Within 70 days of joining, I closed my first $2,000 deal." So how was he able to achieve this? Well, first of all, he dropped his existing income streams. This is so important. So any affiliate work he was doing, any side clients that he had before, all of it, he dropped it so he had one focus, and that was AI lead gen. He gave his full attention to AI lead generation. 17 days from that, he closed his first $2,000 deal. And if you're spread across 4 different things, you take 3 times as long to achieve the outcome that you are working towards. Asian Gran here for us. To be ballin', you gotta be all in. This is a massive problem for so many people. So many people can't get their feet off the ground because their energy is split between all these different opportunities. And I get it, there is so much opportunity out there. It's hard to know which way to turn. I was in the exact same position myself 8 years ago when I first started my marketing agency. I was debating between Amazon FBA, e-commerce and drop shipping, investing in cryptocurrency. I didn't know what to do. But for me, I decided the agency model made sense because I had a bit of sales experience, and an agency is a sales-driven business. You're never gonna succeed in life if you cannot focus your attention onto one area. And you can't be dabbling in a bit of AI automation and a little bit of ads and a little bit of e-commerce and a little bit of crypto. You've got to focus your energy and attention, which is finite, into one thing if you want to succeed. Nechristian got rid of everything else he was doing, even though it was earning him a sum of money, so he could focus on his agency. And that is key. The second lesson is picking up the phone. The basis of this, a quote from the interview: "If you just pick up the phone and call, that's it. You just got to keep calling." You have to have that delusional belief that you can do it, and you will. So Nechristian started cold calling from day one with all of his imperfections. He didn't have a website up, okay? He didn't have any social media. He didn't even really know what his offer is. But from day one of working with us, he started cold calling businesses and started having conversations, okay? Now, early on, it was between 75 and 100 calls that he was making a day to get 1 or 2 meetings booked every other day. That's pretty painful, right? It's a lot of dials, especially if you don't have any experience in calling. It's relatively brutal. But through repetition of doing this again and again, 20 calls a day ended up being 1 meeting booked. So he dramatically changed that meeting book rate. He learnt his script, he learnt his niche, and as his conviction increased, so did his meeting book rate. You know, cold calling is one of these really intimidating things, especially in the AI era where most people just want to hide behind an email or a DM. Cold calls and even door-to-door work exceptionally well because they're high friction and not as many people are picking up the phone and dialing. And even beyond the fact that cold calls are an exceptional way to book in meetings with people, they train you on resilience. They force you to hear no countless times every single, because 95% of people are going to say no to you on the phone. You have to face that rejection because the truth is, business is like a slap in the face every single day. And you just get used to taking that slap, okay? Because every now and then you get a little kiss, you get a little smooch. And that's what you end up striving for. In fact, you actually start laughing when you get that slap in the face because every single slap is getting you closer to a kiss. Strange analogy. But you get the idea, okay? You've got to learn your script, and the only way you can learn your script is through repetition. And you've got to learn your niche, who it is you're looking to work with. You've got to understand their pains, wants, needs, and desires properly. How do we do that? We have a ton of conversations with those individuals until we truly understand what makes them click, so we can say the right things to secure a meeting with those individuals. Now, lesson number 3 is one niche, and then copy and pasting strategy beyond that. Now, the basis of this came from actually a comment of Nechristian in the community, where one of our other members said, how is it possible to onboard and deliver a good service to 11 new clients this close together while still doing outreach? Nechristian said, it's easy when you're only working with one niche. You copy and paste a proven formula that is already working. Okay, Nechristian worked with one industry and he went deep. Okay, he used the same scripts, the same fulfillment, delivery on the back end, the same problem solving every single time. And so one client raises an issue and then he calls another client to check for it. And then he optimizes across the entire cohort. And so if Nechristian signs up 10 clients in the space of a couple of months, which is what he did, he's able to learn from each of those clients. And if he improves his delivery on one of his clients, it improves the standard of his service across the board. So onboarding becomes copy and paste. Close rate goes up. Calls go down. You don't have to call as many people because you know how to speak to people and optimize your meeting book rate. And so pick a niche and stay there. And then the compound will take care of the rest. Many people, when they're first starting off, will reach out to many different niches. It's what I call scattergun. And the only time I normally recommend someone going scattergun is when you don't really have any inkling. You have no idea, maybe you have no unfair advantages that are pushing you in a general direction. Now, Nechristian had never worked in the niche that he chose to work in before, ever. But he just said, I like this thing, I'm going to start calling these people. And that specialization from the start allowed him to optimize every area of the business far quicker than most people that are split. Now, if you are watching this and you're thinking, I just have no idea where to start, the truth is you can make any niche successful. And it would be great if you could pick a niche to start off with. But if you can't, then I would recommend going scattergun, but only for your first few clients. And by few, I mean like 3 clients. Sign up a client over here, client over there, different niches. Figure out which one you enjoy working with the most, which one you're getting the best results for, and then double, triple down on that niche so you can specialize and you can get the benefit of this compound effect, which is where you're then going to see that more viral growth across the business. The 4th lesson is that AI is the positioning and not the product. Okay, the basis of this comes from one of Nechristian's Ring the Bells. He said, just closed my chiropractor to help him grow his home improvement business. After going to him for 3 weeks, we started talking casually, and once I told him what I do with AI, he was immediately interested, especially after I showed him the High Level app. So he used a CRM called Go High Level, where he's also integrated various different AI tools on the back end, one of which I'll mention in a moment. Now, the product is appointments, it's leads, it's customers, okay? It's potential revenue. It's the same thing that most agencies sell. I don't care if you're an SEO agency, you're a Google ad agency, you're a web development agency, most agencies are selling the same thing. It's appointments, it's leads, it's customers, it's revenue, it's growth to some degree. Now, AI is just the leverage, okay? It's what pricks their ears up. When we mention that we are using AI to generate more revenue, we get to feed into that FOMO that they already have, because everybody is afraid that AI is coming for their business. Everyone is afraid that their competitors are suddenly going to get ahead of them because they're using AI and they're not. Now, you will get deeper into AI the deeper you get into your agency. In the early stages, honestly, it's purely positioning. In the early stages, if you're watching this and you have no experience in delivering an AI lead gen service, don't worry about it. The perception of AI is as valuable as the result that it brings, especially when we're working with local business, which is where most of you will start when you're first starting off. Most local businesses don't know how to use AI themselves. And so when they hear that you have an AI-based service, they immediately perceive it to be more valuable, okay, than a generic lead generation service, because they see you as being ahead of the curve. And you don't need to understand how to build all of the systems. You will get deeper into it as you start working with more and more clients. You know, one of the main questions I get from people is, Jordan, how do I learn to be confident in my ability to deliver a service before I sign up my first client? And the honest answer is you're never going to be truly confident until you actually sign up that client. Now, here's a story that I'm not actually that proud of, and I don't recommend you doing the same thing. But when I first signed up my first ever client 8 years ago, it was a local restaurant, okay, a lady called Jane from a restaurant called The Library in my local city. Now, honestly, I didn't really have a clue how to generate a return on investment on Facebook ads when I first signed her up. I had this Richard Branson quote in the back of my head that said, if you ever get offered an opportunity that you don't know how to fulfill, say yes and then learn later. And so I had this in my head and I was like, I'm going to sign up this client and then I'm going to learn everything I need to do. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I understand how to get her results. And I did, but it wasn't easy. The first few weeks was difficult and I had a lot of stress, but I got the opportunity in and then I started working on the account, and then just through like repetition, through trial and error, I figured it out through watching a lot of content. And it's going to be the same for the majority of you, especially when it comes to AI systems. You can build all of the theory and you can play around with stuff yourself, but until you actually do it in a real business, you're never truly going to have a good understanding, which is why the first lesson, the second lesson is so important. We just go straight in to reaching out to prospects and getting meetings, because we're never going to be truly prepared to actually deliver a great result until we sign up a client. So you might as well start signing up clients right from the start. Lesson number 5, show up, listen, and let the product sell itself. So the base of this came from a post. Nechristian said, I was demoing a Pointwise during a meeting 10-10. Now, a Pointwise is the leading AI appointment setting software that most AI lead generation agencies use in order to convert leads for their clients and book them straight onto their calendar. Previously, agencies would generate leads for clients, they'd hand over the leads to the client, and then their receptionist would have to reach out to those leads and book them in. But receptionists work 5 days a week, they take lunch breaks, and they don't reach out to leads very quickly. Now with AI, we can do it 24/7. They don't have to pay and use their team's time, and they're able to convert much more of those leads at a fraction of the cost. I believe so much in this product that I invested in it myself at the start of last year. Anyway, Nechristian said that I highly recommend letting the prospect test the AI at the end and ask the bot the craziest questions. The point was, the real deal, the guy was so impressed that he called in one of his associates selling him on it. Okay, so Nechristian went for an in-person meeting and he just demoed the product. He let it speak for itself. These guys are absolutely loving it. Probably like not very tech savvy guys either, based on the environment in which that they are in. You know, another kind of secondary lesson off the back of this is going in person. You know, Nechristian had as many meetings as he could in person because our close rate is so much higher. In an AI era when everyone wants to hide behind their computer, if you have the opportunity to go in person and sell to people, you're going to be able to build so much more rapport with those individuals. And so make the effort to do it. In-person meetings close way harder than Zoom. You have the eye contact, you've got joking, you've got the rapport, and the trust forms in minutes versus fighting this uphill battle with this kind of, you know, you have this, you never really build that depth of a relationship until you meet someone in person. And so you're not going to have the opportunity forever to do in-person meetings. So you might as well milk it in the early stages to get your feet off the ground. And in the meeting itself, business owners will hand you the words that you flip on them, but only if you shut up long enough to hear them. The goal of any sales meeting is to listen to the business owner's problems. Listen to the words and then use them against them. Okay, you're dealing with this problem. It's been this problem for this long. You've tried this many things, and this is going to happen if you don't solve it. We're looking for pain and we're proactively listening. Too many agency owners have reviewed hundreds of sales calls over the years, and it's a massive problem that I had myself in the early stages as well. Too many people are trying to wait for what they want to say next in their script. Like, let me ask this question. No, shut up, take a step back, and proactively listen to what the prospect has to say. Listen for that pain, and then use that pain as an opportunity to sell. And then we want to demo the AI live. Hand the prospect our phone, let them ask the bot the craziest questions, and then the product will become the salesperson. Most businesses you speak to will not have had the opportunity to speak to a sophisticated bot before. Okay, maybe they would have experienced a terrible chat bot when they call up their bank or something, so they've even got these misconceptions. And that's actually an even better situation, because when they hand them, or when we give them a working demo, which we can set up in minutes before the meeting, ready and built for their business, and they get to try it out themselves and they get to stress test it. In fact, you'll like this. One of my other clients, his name is Carl, he owns a dental marketing agency. remember a call with him where he told me he signed up a new client, dentist, obviously. And when he was in the meeting, he demoed a bot that he created on Pointwise, and the dentist was committed to just breaking the thing, okay? And so he wanted to test it with things that he only thought he would understand, or 0.1% of dentists would actually understand. And so he started quizzing the agent on zygomatic implants, okay? Now, less than 1% of dentists are actually offering these implants. They're a really high-end implant. It costs tens of thousands in order to do this. But he was so impressed with how the agent handled that conversation that alone was the trigger to him saying, yes, cool, let's go ahead with this service. And so that's why it's so important. I don't think people understand how far advanced AI has come when it comes to conversational appointment setting. And whilst this isn't the entirety of your service, we need to generate the leads in the first place. It's the new things, it's the shiny things that businesses haven't seen before that truly impress them that are going to separate you from everybody else. So don't be afraid to do demos like Nechristian did. Okay, lesson number 6, follow up until they answer. This is a big one. This is a crazy ring the bell moment. I had a meeting with this guy 3 weeks ago, and after calling him for the past 3 weeks, I finally got a hold of him last week. And when I called him, he said he was sick and asked me to give him some time. And anyway, he proceeded to go ahead and sign, and he got that payment there from that client at $1,500. Now, most agencies stop following up at attempt 2 or 3. Okay, they think that if somebody ghosts them, because honestly, you will get people that say yes to working with you, and you think you closed them, and then from time to time, they end up ghosting you for whatever reason. Most agencies will stop at attempt 2 or 3. Okay, they think, oh, I'm just not going to bother this person, they're not interested. But ghosted prospects rarely die. They get busy, they get distracted, or maybe they just get scared. You know, maybe because some of the businesses you're going to work with will only be earning, $20K a month, which, if you're not been in business before, sounds like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of business isn't a huge amount when you're trying to get clients to pay you, $1,000 a month plus, let's say, a $1,000 ad spend, for example, on an ad platform. They get a little bit scared, they get wobbly feet, or maybe they just got distracted with their family, or the business got on top of them and they needed to attend something. Persistence with a new perspective will sign deals that others write off. Okay, what you want to do when you follow up with people is be persistent. In that first week, you want to make sure that you follow up at least 3 times. Ideally, straight after the meeting, you're following up. A day later, you're following up. And then I would do 2 days after that, 2 days after that, and then every single week at least thereafter, I would be following up via SMS or WhatsApp, depending on where you're from, and I would be calling the prospect. Do not presume that they have gone completely cold or they've gone away, they've changed their mind until they say that to you, okay? This is vital. Now, what do I mean by new perspective? Just reach out to them and say, hey, I had this idea on the chat that we had last week. Or, hey, look at this other client that I'm working with at the moment. I thought you'd like this result. Or check out this article I saw recently and I thought of you about. Offer a new perspective. And as a last resort, what I really like is, hey, I just had an idea that I really want to share with you. Are you free later? Because I think this would really work for you and it's kind of time sensitive. Now, of course, you've got to have something to go on when you jump on that meeting, but I would recommend maybe like an ad idea. You've got an idea for an ad for them guys. You jump in, you start off there with that idea, and then you transition into, cool, so where are we at? Last time we spoke, you said X, Y, Z, and it seemed to have gone a little bit cold, so I wanted to check in with you. Should we get this moving? And then proceed. Final lesson number 7, build the snowball and then ride it down the hill. So, Nechristian said, I'm hustling my way to 10. I'll definitely hit it this month. What a way to start things off. Haven't done much cold calling this past week, but all the work I've put in is starting to snowball. Okay, so all of the previous work that Nechristian has done has meant that he was able to take his foot off the gas a little bit. Now, the pipeline has lagged. The pipeline, okay, is if you imagine we have different stages in the pipeline from someone who's completely cold to someone who says yes, okay, we're trying to work people towards coming to the point of saying yes. There is lag in this pipeline, okay? Calls you make today close 3 weeks from now on average. So once the snowball rolls, a quiet week still produces deals so long as we are filling the start of the pipeline with potential people all the time. So we have to build pipeline depth so we can ease off the gas without the ball stopping. Always keep your pipeline full. This is probably the most valuable lesson my sales mentor taught me Now we're talking like 10 years ago when I first had my first sales job. I was doing 150 cold calls every single day. This introverted kid going to an office. I used to walk to the edge of the office holding my script, like trembling. I was absolutely terrified. Sales is a skill that you learn through repetition. And over time, I got better and better and better. I got a really harsh lesson once. And my sales mentor said to me, always keep your pipeline full. And I ignored it. And I was working in this company selling advertisement packages in digital magazines to construction companies over in the Middle East. I had this really big deal that I was working on. It was such a big deal that the boss was letting me keep a key and stay in the office at nighttime just so I could be closing clients on this deal. And so I was working early mornings, I was working late nights, I was doing this for weeks on end, putting all of my eggs into this one basket, thinking, wow, the upside potential on this was like $10,000 in commission. As a 21-year-old, I must have been then, I'd never seen any amount of money like that. I'd never seen amount, but I put all of my effort into that one thing. And one morning, I came into the office, I was chipper, ready to get in and go selling. And I looked at my emails and I saw an email from the founder and he pulled the deal. And there was nothing that I could do about it. And I had already spent this money in my head. I'd already been thinking about all these amazing things that I was going to do. I was telling my friends about it. I told my parents about it. I'm doing this deal. I was even talking like I made the money before I'd even made it. And the deal pulled out. And because I put all of my eggs in one basket, because I put all of this effort into this one client, I didn't have anything else in the pipeline. I had nothing else to fill it with. And I went to my sales manager, I told him what happened, and what did he say to me? Always keep your pipeline full. And from that day onwards, I never left an empty pipeline. I never put all of my energy into one thing. And you're going to be tempted when you sign up your first client, your second client, to put all of your energy into just fulfilling your service on those clients. That is a huge mistake. Never focus on one deal. Always move forward with the presumption that a deal is going to be uneasy and that you need to have an influx of deal flow behind you in that pipeline. So if anything negative happens, then you've always got opportunity to replace it with. That is absolutely vital. Arguably the most important lesson from this entire video. So some final words for you guys. What happened next with Nechristian? Nechristian signed up his 90th and 20th client. That was actually on the 2nd of April. We signed up a bunch more since then. $3,000 cash collected. He's actually now increased his service fee to $2,000 per client as well. So Nechristian is scaling beyond 20K a month now. And if you want to watch the entire one-to-one interview with Nechristian, where we break this all down in granular detail, I'll put a link in the description so you can go ahead and you can watch that right now. And remember, knowledge is worthless without implementation. Go and implement these lessons from today in your agency. And if you're new here, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Cheers.